Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, LoneStarMopars.com. Sunday fun day here in the shop, finally getting some time to get back out here. And I gotta tell you, it is a bright, shiny new day, and I don't mean that still haven't cleaned the mat up, but man, I cleaned the camera the other day, and good lord. It's made a huge difference. You won't notice anything, but for me personally, behind the scenes here, this is amazing. I should have done that a long time ago. Now, what we've got going on is a crisis of time. That's right, not necessarily anything pressing on me right now that I know of, although my sister could change that in a moment's notice. What we had was from Tekton. And if you think, yeah, Tekton, I hadn't seen you buy anything from Tekton in a long time, and that's because we haven't. And if you wonder how long it's been, I guess it's been almost 2 years exactly. And the reason I know that, I had $10.98 of Tekton Rewards, and that stuff was going to expire. And why would I just let $11 go down the drain? And the answer is I wouldn't. So we're going to get started right here with basically what I got for free. And that's it. I'll have all this stuff linked. Obviously, I don't make jack linking back to Tekton. I do that solely for your convenience, as we do with everything. And if this looks familiar to you, but slightly different, it should. And what this is a socket rail from Tekton. And then if you think, Tekton, that looks just like an Ernst, but in like a gray color. Yeah, that's definitely Ernst. I've seen you, cutting those things up, making your own. What's the deal? That's definitely an Ernst rail if I've ever seen one. You see, it's even got the recessed little hanger for your socket boss. You've got the holes that you can kind of see on the backside, or you can like screw it down or nail it. That's an Ernst rail. You're 100% correct. What Tekton did is they must have picked out Ernst. I guess it was their preferred medium of storing sockets. So when you buy a set of sockets from Tekton, if they don't come in a case or loose, you have the option. You can actually kit it out. You can get it on rails. They have their standard colors. I'm trying to think. I think it's red and black is what they do for metric and SAE. Don't hold me to that. But basically the thing that stands out there, if you're into this stuff, is the socket boss trays, which we don't have one here, but you should know what I'm talking about. The black piece that this would slide and clip into. On the handle where it would say Ernst, I believe it says Tekton. The rails themselves, there's no like private labeling or anything. You're not going to go like some Tekton tea or anything crazy. It's just the appeal here, the color. From Ernst, if you go direct through Ernst, where you do get better pricing, it's not, if you're placing an order at Tekton, it's, it's not going to be the end of the world what you pay in freight or have to spend in product to get free freight. It'll wash. If you're already buying from Tekton, whatever you're picking up, go ahead and throw something on. But the main draw for Ernst fans from Tekton, aside from them partnering with them, right, and picking them and saying, hey, these are pretty good, is the gray color. You can't get that anywhere else, at least that I know of. So if gray is your jam, or if you've been like, man, I really wish I could put those stupid security Torx bits on something that just stood out. And there you go, right? So from Ernst, you've got red, blue, black, green, and orange, along with high vis. And if for whatever reason, how you color code things, whatever it might be, if you've got the need for another colored rail, or, gray could be like, man, this is the best looking socket rail ever. If that's the case, you won't be able to go through Ernst and get the gray, but you can get them from Tekton. And again, you don't pay a ton more. Now, when you buy anything Tekton, this is very important. Yeah, you can go to the Jungle store and you can buy it there. You can get it from, there are actually, I think, a couple of stores up in the Midwest, maybe, where Tekton is based, might stock these, Menards or something. I don't know. Never seen one. Never been in it. Don't know for sure. You can order from Home Depot, all kinds of things. But if you buy direct from Tekton, this is the same thing with Capri, you actually get rewards. And that's what $10.98 got me. This was $11. This rail right here with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 pegs. Was $11 from Tekton, and I basically got it for 2 cents because I had $10.98 in rewards from previous orders, which would have just expired. So you can think of this as free, essentially. So that's how we're getting started. Do I plan to use that? Yes. What on? I don't know yet. I kind of think the nut grips would be cool on that, but the problem is I got like metric and SAE. I don't know if we'll do like hex bits or you know, holding function, hex bit, something. I mean, it needs to be something. And then I guess if we like change plans, we can just bring more in and take it from there. The other reason I brought this in as my freebie, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of currently out of 3/8 pegs, and I do intend to buy some more from Ernst, but I also want to turn in a big order to Ernst, you know, once I kind of like finalize things and know what I want. Again, I'd rather spend 140 bucks on socket rails at one time and get free freight than spend like 35, 35, 35, and 35 and pay freight, if you understand where I'm coming from. So that's the standard there, but essentially you can think of that as free. So if you're a Tekton fan or you want to try Tekton, come in, buy whatever you're interested in or whatever you need, what you want to try out, and you accrue bonus bucks, essentially. So same thing with Capri, but a very cool system. And again, I'm not going to let $10.98 go to waste, so we didn't. But you're sitting here and you're thinking like, hey, I know you wouldn't have paid freight on that, right? Well, you're absolutely right. You know me well. And what we have in this box, I'm actually going to throw it down this way so you won't know. Some of you, if you have this item, will know. Others of you, you're going to find out. This is obviously from Tekton. This is one of their made in the USA items. Again, Tekton, a lot of their stuff is going to be, you know, overseas, Taiwan, but they do a decent job, in my opinion, of kind of innovating and bringing things back stateside, you know, through less expensive manufacturing processes. And if you recall back, their screwdrivers, they started making those here in the US. They do some really cool stuff, you know, like their laser milled stuff. It's all going to be made in America. What's in this box is made in America. This is something I technically don't really need, but I'd had several of you recommend it, and I wanted to compare it. So we'll get to that video at some point in time. But what is this? Believe it or not, this was the most expensive item that we bought, and it was 20 bucks. And it's right here. Part number PNH90101. It's a 5-piece pick and hook set. So if I can find the tape, I don't know that I can. It says caution, sharp objects inside. And, what I'm trying to do now, I think this box folds open, right? Maybe it doesn't. Not quite sure what I'm doing wrong. Pretty sure it should open like I thought it would, but I don't understand why it's not. It seems sealed there, actually. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open it the other way. And, just be patient. The cut's gotta work up here. Get more crud on the mat that we never clean. Good Lord, I'll tell you, they the way this shipped was not in a box. The whole order, I should say, it was in like a red envelope, which looked great, I'm sure, initially. But it looks terrible after UPS had it for several days. You got to realize where I'm located in Texasville. I was like, oh, you should buy from JD Co. and all these. No, like that's a huge, ridiculous transit. Okay, I get it. You know, if you're like on the East Coast, the Midwest, something's probably super close, super convenient, kind of like me to KC Tool. You know, but it's a situation for me. Like even stuff from Tekton, like it gets ridiculous. You get past Ohio, and I'm waiting on stuff. So right here, 10% back in rewards, fast free shipping, and guaranteed support. I don't remember. I thought they had a shipping threshold, but I'm not going to bother to look it up. I'm also trying not to stab myself because I did caution against that. But, there we go. We got a couple. This is going to be a royal mess here. So what would I do? I would not pack with that. That's what I would do. I do want to say, I think this box should have opened the other way, but I wasn't wanting to come up, so it didn't. Right here, this is just a little support foam disposal. They say it will dissolve in water, and it's compostable, so maybe that's why they used it. So kudos to Tekton, trying to do the right thing there. And it does seem kind of cheap and crunchy, like it would do just that. So it's annoying, but I won't complain. How about that? We'll leave it at that front. So what we have here, obviously, again, the 5-piece hook and pick set, and these look to be a decent length. I'm seeing, I guess, just some machine holding on there, so very, very sharp point on here. I will give them credit for that. Now the question becomes, do you like a black shaft and tip, or do you want it to be chrome? Now there's advantages both ways. The chrome is going to cast, reflect light back. The black will be harder to see in like dark areas. I guess it's good to have sort of a combination. You usually see me with the Stavillas. We recently brought in the channel locks, and then we've got the Vit picks as well. But right there, that's going to be probably my second most used pick, if I had to guess. My primary pick is going to be right here, the straight one. That's just the way it works out. Up third, we're going to have sort of your traditional 180 degree hook. And then after that, you've got like a more cargo styled hook, which might be handy. That looks more like a wire puller, in all honesty. And then right here, this is sort of like the odd duck that for some reason people include multiple hooks or weird things and never this. This is just like a 45 degree, so I think it will actually be handy. Handle itself, we're going to take a look at that now. You can see Tekton. You're going to be blank blank USA, which again, like I said, this is 100% made in the USA. 5-piece hook and pick set, 20 bucks. You do the math. It's $4 a piece. That's pretty dadgum good. This is kind of comfortable, but it's also like pretty slick. I would personally prefer like a textured grip here. I don't think it's going to be like detrimental, but again, it's something maybe it'll kind of break in over time and we'll get some like wear and tear on it. It'll be a little bit better. But for the money, I don't know that that's really that bad of a deal. These are fairly large compared, obviously, don't think of like, radiator hose picks, okay, but think back to the Stavillas, which are really small. These are pretty decent size, I would say. Like overall length, Tekton's website probably has a really good graphic on this. That's another thing they do well. We'll call it 6.5-ish, just to be pretty close. The shaft itself is going to be, it's kind of hard to measure this hooked one. We'll go to the straight guy. We'll call it like it's like 3.25 for the shaft, and then the handle, let me make sure you can actually see that, is like 3.5. So, do the math there, but decent sized, I would say. So you're going to clock in basically 6.5-ish overall on nearly everything. Sort of depends if you want to go by the tip and the extremity or just end to end, but it gives you an idea. Like I said, we will compare and contrast these, all the picks we've got here coming up. But my only complaint is I do think I would personally prefer, instead of the hard handle, sort of something that provides a little bit more grip, just with what I'm doing with these. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. But for $20, I think that's a pretty good deal. And again, you saw in their box 10% back in rewards, so you kind of start stacking that cash up and getting some stuff coming back your way. This envelope or packing paper, whatever it turns out to be, will look unassuming, as it should. But if you can see there, it says Tekton, obviously, bold letters down here. And then right there, it says wrenches, okay? And you're thinking, like, wrenches in here? Good Lord, what did you get? You bought, like, one wrench. I hear it clanking, though, so you must have two. You got 2 wrenches, really. What's the point in that? Well, let me open this up. You've got a really nice wrench roll here. I guess if you're balling on a budget, you can just wrap it back up in this paper. But we can get the final free side of the paper. Boom. Some of you already know what these are, and I don't off the top of my head remember the exact pricing, but basically I think the most expensive was 19 bucks, and then I think we had like a 17, a 14, and an 11, or 2 11s or 2 14s. Something like that. Maybe it was 11, 14, 14, 19, or maybe 19, 17, 14, 14, something along those lines. Very well could have been the 14, 14, 17, 19 for the prices. But what we have, oh, here's our little guy right there. I was going to say, we got gypped, we're missing a wrench. These are Tekton's angle head wrenches. What I love about these, if you recall from the time we brought in the SAEs, and no, for you metric people, these are not SAE. Okay, if you recall, when we brought those in, we did 7/16, half, and 9/16 because that's what I used the most and I thought would be most frequently used and where these would be the handiest. If you've watched the RAM Revival, if you've seen like random projects I've done, things we've thrown together, I actually do use those quite a bit, and it's because of this 30/60 offset here. So typically when you get an angle head wrench, they're going to do something stupid where it's like, oh, well, this guy needs an angle head instead of a straight wrench. So they give you that, and then this end over here is like a standard box end or something. That's nice if it's your only wrench or if you needed the box end, but chances are if you're purchasing angle head wrenches to get the odd angle, you probably already have standard wrenches which weren't getting it done for you. So why not, on the flip side, do something special to make your wrenches more appeal to the end user, right? That's the way I look at it, and Tekton did a fantastic job with that. So this right here is going to be the 10 millimeter. Again, can't ever have enough 10s. It's going to be used a lot. If we flip it around, you can see USA, the part number, and again the 10 millimeter marking. So nothing up here on the head or anything, but you got 10 there. And on the flip side with Tekton, you're going to see the 10 millimeter right here. So sort of opposing sides, the 10 millimeter is going to be stamped. That'll be used quite a bit. Really, the two that I think I will use the most are going to be this guy right here and his little buddy. So this is a 13 and a 14. And again, I do believe that these will probably be my most frequently used angle head wrenches. The 10 could come in handy, but usually when I'm doing something that's like precarious and tight spaces where you can't get sockets and you can't get like open ends without having to shimmy and turn like fractions of a 360-degree circle, it's usually a bigger head, and a lot of times 9/16, that's where that comes in, half-inch, header bolts, things along those lines. So 13 and 14, I think we'll see a lot of use. The 14 sort of depends what you're doing. 13 will probably be default for a bunch of people, but these will probably be my two most frequently used. 10 could come in very handy. It's just a situation where I kind of think, with what I do, I can't think of times where I've had like super difficult access to a 10, but it'll happen. It's guaranteed to. Coming in next, we've got the 17 and the 19. Why 17 and 19? Well, we went with the German efficiency pack plus my 14. What is 14 the closest to and sort of interchanges with 90% of the time? 9/16. What do I use a ton of and run into a lot? 9/16. Why? 3/8 hardware. It all adds up in the end. So the way these are made, these are actually, it's not something like it's going to be forged and you got some guy running, a giant hammer all day, with a furnace beside him. These are laser milled. And some people, are like, oh, cool, technology. And other people are like, oh, it's going to be junk. I don't envision myself really ever having to do anything with insane torque loads on these, okay? For example, header bolts, when you're able to get that little, half-inch wrench in there because your manufacturer was nice and included some specialty bolts, or you got something from ARP and you had to downsize, it's simply a situation where you kind of go as best you can, and you're in here in between primaries and you've got a flange here, and you just go and you reseat and you go and you flip and you go, and you don't ever really have an opportunity to just come in and bear down on it. Now, why did I get the 17 and the 19, you ask? I was sitting there and I was thinking, hey, I don't have anything like that in metric land. And it's a situation where they very well could come in handy. That's typically what you're going to see. If you're curious what my next steps would be with these angle head wrenches, it would probably just be completing SAE. We'd probably jump up. We'd probably get like a 3/4. We might jump down and get some smaller sizes. 3/8 in particular, I guess kind of be akin to the 10 millimeter. But 7/16 half and 9/16, so those have served me well, and I haven't really had a need for anything bigger, right? I get there's times the 3/4 at work could come in really handy, like messing around with hydraulic stuff. But it's just a situation where here, those three sizes get me by. I think the 13 and the 14 will be the bread and butter. Can't go wrong with the 10, and the 17 and 19 just makes sense to bring in because they could come in handy. So, with that said, that is basically it. This is our Tekton Tool Haul for this one. And essentially we got made in the USA. Everything here on this mat is 100% made in the USA. The picks, the angle head wrenches, and the Ernst rails. All of it 100% made in America. So very cool on that front. It's a pretty economical tool haul as well. $20 here, I want to say 19, 17, 1411. Let's just run with that. I basically just spent a little over $100. Keep in mind this is 11, but we basically paid 2 cents for it. And now we've got a pretty good little stash, you know, about another $10 or so in Tekton Rewards coming our way. So worked out well for us. They sadly don't include a packing list anymore. I felt like they did on my previous orders, but let's be honest, that was about 2 years ago, and I could be mistaken. But, I don't have anything bad to say about any of this, obviously. Love the Ernst rails. The picks, again, I would prefer probably something with a little grippier handle, even if this just had something done to it in the manufacturing process where it added texture. Of course, again, I'm sure that would alienate people as well. But for my personal preference, that would be the only complaint. And then our 5 angle head wrenches, these things are stupid handy. They're super reasonable. And again, they do the same thing with their crow's feet. I considered that on this tool haul, but if you recall, we've got the SAEs. We finished it out with a combination of Bonnie and SK, new old stock stuff, so it worked out really well. Made in America SK, not the new stuff. And filled out the whole rack, I think like, what, quarter or 3/8 to 1 inch, so that's cool. The metric stuff, again, I'm usually in the 60s and 70s, so that's something I don't run into a lot. As time passes, yeah, maybe that's something we'll explore. But for now, I think these are probably my best bang for the buck from Tekton. And I guess I've got 2 years to accrue more needs there before this $10 goes up. And at that point in time, we'll come in, pick something else up. Who knows, if I wind up finding something perfect for that gray rail, which I got to admit, this would not be the greatest color combination with our US General MasterTech in orange, but come into our blue US Generals or even the black Husky, and this gray would look pretty dadgum good. So again, it's all up to you if you color code it, if you just, well, that looks like a socket, I just want to have that, so I don't want any color in my life. I want everything clean and sanitary. It's just cool to kind of see that in person. It's sort of like it's a little brighter than like a Nardo gray. It's almost like a smoke show, which again, a lot of people are going to be familiar with that color from Dodge, but it's basically what it's like. It's not a destroyer gray as much as it is like a smoke show. That's a very, very late model color, very recent, and again, a lot of people are probably going to see it and think, oh, that's destroyer gray. It's like, destroyer gray is pretty deep. This is almost like an aluminum type of a color. If you could take aluminum and just transfer it to plastic, that's what this looks like in real life. That's one of the things I was curious, you never know looking at something online what it's really going to look like in person. This is a sweet little setup. Do I like it better than blue, green, and orange? No, but we could find something awesome to do with them. So of course you can get that, I believe, 13 and 18 inch. They've got various amounts of pegs on each one. They sell the pegs separately as well. You know what? I don't think we got stickers from them. I thought those came standard. Maybe I don't think there was a box. I didn't check. Maybe it's packed up in there somewhere. Who knows? But yeah, that's it. So pretty sweet little haul here. If you have Tekton's angle head wrenches, how do you like them? How have you feel they've compared to, say, other offerings that you had previously? And if you have the picks, which I know many of you must because just so many of you have recommended that I get them, let me know what you think of them, how they hold up, how they compare, what you think of the size. Are they, not small enough? Are they not quite big enough? Are they the perfect size? How do you like them compared to your other offerings or what you've used in the past? All that good stuff's information that we want to have here shared on the channel. So if you know anything, by all means, leave a comment and share your expert opinion, especially when it comes firsthand. So on that front, I'm going to go bust out another tool haul here because there's some stuff I want to kind of drag to work and I need to have ready for my nephew, and going to go to town that way. So pretty cool stuff from Tekton. Again, personal advice. I practice what I preach. Buy direct from Tekton unless you're getting like a smoking deal. If you go to Tekton and you want this 13mm angle head wrench and it's $14, and you go to the Jungle store and it's $6, and you're placing an order anyway, you do you, but I truly do practice what I preach. I get no kickback from this stuff. If I'm buying Tekton stuff, it's going to come from Tekton because I get cash basically back, right? So you turn in an order like this, you basically have $10 or so. And works quite well for you in the end. But yeah, again, your thoughts and opinions on this stuff, feel free to let me know on that front. Hope you have yourself a fantastic week. Most importantly, hope I catch you back here for more action from the shop.